First Contact Protocols. Senior observer Xylith's appendages trembled as she reviewed the preliminary scans of the third planet. After centuries of searching for intelligent life, her team had finally found something remarkable, but not in the way anyone had expected. Display primary findings, she commanded, her 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display that materialized before her. The blue-green planet rotated slowly, overlaid with data streams that made her internal organs constrict with a mixture of fascination and primal fear. Species designation: human. Planet designation: Earth. The ship's AI intoned. Warning: preliminary classification systems have failed to categorize the dominant species according to standard protocols. Xylith's second-in-command, Observer Krell, moved closer to the display. Failed to categorize? That's impossible. Every species falls into one of our 12 fundamental types. Not this one, Xylith replied, manipulating the display to show footage from their stealth drones. Look at this. They've spread to every corner of their world. Not just survived, thrived. Desert, tundra, mountains, oceans, they've adapted to it all. The footage showed humans scaling sheer cliff faces, diving into crushing depths, crossing scorching deserts, and surviving in frozen wastelands. But what truly caught her attention was the way they moved, with purpose, with planning, with an almost frightening efficiency. They're persistence hunters, Krell whispered, his protective scales shifting color in response to his growing unease. But that's not possible. No persistence hunter has ever developed sophisticated intelligence. The energy requirements alone. They did more than develop intelligence. Xylith interrupted, bringing up new footage. They've weaponized it. Look at their history. Every challenge they've faced, they've overcome not through biological evolution, but through technological innovation. Can't fly. They built machines that could. Too slow. They created vehicles that break the sound barrier. Too soft. They developed armor that can withstand extraordinary punishment. The display shifted to show human cities, vast metropolises that stretched to the horizon, filled with millions of beings living in complex social structures that defied conventional understanding. But here's what truly fascinates me, Xylith continued, her voice dropping to a near whisper. They're not just survivors or adapters. They're innovators. When most species find a comfortable niche, they stop evolving. Humans, they never stop. They're constantly pushing boundaries, asking questions, seeking more. It's as if their entire species is driven by an insatiable curiosity. An alert chimed softly, drawing their attention to a new data stream. Krell's scales shifted to a pale yellow, a sign of extreme distress. Senior observer, they've detected our probe's energy signature. Their primitive scanning technology shouldn't have been capable of. Primitive. Xylith laughed, but there was no humor in it. We need to update our definition of primitive. They're not just detecting our presence, they're actively tracking us. Their military forces are already mobilizing. The room fell silent as they watched dozens of human aircraft converging on their probe's location, moving in patterns that were unnervingly familiar to any species that understood pack hunting strategies. Send word to the council, Xylith ordered, her appendages now perfectly still as she made the most important decision of her career. We're not dealing with just another intelligent species. We found something unprecedented. A species that combines the relentless nature of a pursuit predator with the problem-solving capabilities of a highly developed intelligence. They're not just apex predators. They're something entirely new. As she watched the humans coordinate their response to the probe's presence, Xylith couldn't shake the feeling that her species hadn't discovered humanity. Humanity had allowed themselves to be discovered. And now, as their ships moved with predatory grace through the upper atmosphere, she wondered if they had just stumbled into territory far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Initiate first contact protocols, she commanded, knowing that the standard procedures were woefully inadequate for this situation. And may the void help us all if we make the wrong move, because something tells me we're not dealing with a species that forgives mistakes. The words had barely left her mouth when the first human transmission reached their ship, crystal clear and carrying an unmistakable tone of authority. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately, or we will be forced to take defensive action. Silith's scales rippled with a complex mixture of emotions as she realized that humanity wasn't just ready for first contact. They had been preparing for it. The question now was, had they been preparing for peaceful contact or for war? The hunt begins. The Galactic Council's response to Silith's first contact report came swiftly and with characteristic arrogance. Subdue and contain the potential threat. If only they had listened to her warnings. 3 solar cycles had passed since the Council's Hunter-class vessels arrived in Earth's orbit. What was meant to be a show of force had turned into a desperate game of survival, with the hunters becoming the hunted. Commander Verex of the Council's elite containment fleet stood on his command bridge, mandibles clicking in agitation as he reviewed the latest casualty reports. 5 ships lost in the asteroid belt, 3 more disabled in low Earth orbit, and countless stealth probes destroyed. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were learning, adapting, evolving their tactics with every engagement. Another distress signal. Commander, his communications officer reported. The stalker has gone dark near what the humans call their moon. Verex's bioluminescent patches pulsed with frustration. The stalker had been their most advanced stealth vessel, equipped with technology that should have been centuries beyond human capability to detect, let alone counter. "Show me their last transmission," he ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the final moments recorded by the stalker's sensors, a seemingly empty sector of space, then a burst of primitive chemical rockets. Decoys, Verex now realized, followed by the emergence of a small human vessel from the moon's shadow. The stalker's crew had dismissed it as primitive, right until the moment it launched what appeared to be a simple kinetic weapon. "Pause playback," Verex commanded. "Enhance the human vessel." The image zoomed in, revealing details that made his dorsal spines rise in alarm. The human ship bore battle scars, evidence of previous encounters, but they weren't random damage. Each mark showed signs of repair, of modification, of learning. "They're using our own encounters to improve their technology," his science officer observed. "Each engagement, successful or not, teaches them more about our capabilities. They're not just fighting us. They're studying us." A new alert blared through the command center. Multiple human vessels approaching from the planet's dark side. The tactical officer reported. "Their formation, it's an exact mirror of our own hunting protocols." Verex felt a cold realization settle into his core. The humans hadn't just learned their tactics, they had improved upon them. Where Council ships moved with the rigid precision of trained hunters, the human vessels displayed an unsettling combination of coordination and unpredictability. "They're not mirroring our formation," Verex whispered. "They're exploiting its weaknesses." The battle that followed demonstrated exactly why the Council's initial assessment of humanity had been so catastrophically wrong. Human ships didn't just fight, they adapted mid-battle. When Council vessels deployed their energy shields, humans responded with weapons that propagated through the shield harmonics. When stealth systems were engaged, humans tracked them through gravitational distortions so subtle that even Council sensors struggled to detect them. "Commander," his tactical officer's voice carried an edge of panic. "They're not trying to destroy our ships. They're disabling them systematically. Every vessel they targeted has been left intact but inoperable." The realization hit Verex like a gravitational wave. "They're collecting us," he said. "Every disabled ship is a repository of technology, tactics, and intelligence." A transmission cut through their communications channels, broadcasting on all frequencies. The voice was human, calm, and almost cordial. "Council vessels, your containment strategy has failed. You have 2 options: stand down and prepare for collaborative diplomatic engagement, or continue this conflict and provide us with more opportunities to advance our defensive capabilities. The choice is yours." Verex looked at his command staff, seeing in their postures and color patterns the same understanding that had finally dawned on him. The council had fundamentally misunderstood the situation. They had approached humanity as if they were dealing with just another species to be cataloged, controlled, and, if necessary, contained. Instead, they had found something unprecedented. A species that viewed every challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger, every conflict as a chance to evolve, and every encounter, peaceful or hostile, as a step towards something greater. "Send word to the council," Varix commanded, his voice heavy with the weight of revelation. "The containment protocol isn't just failing, it's actively making them stronger. Recommend immediate cessation of hostile actions and implementation of full diplomatic protocols." As he watched the human fleet maintain their perfect formation around his vessels, Varix couldn't help but admire the elegance of it all. They had walked into humanity's territory thinking themselves the apex predators of the galaxy, only to discover that humanity had turned the entire concept of predation into an art form. The humans hadn't just survived the Council's attempt at containment, they had turned it into an accelerated evolution program for their species. And now, as Varix prepared to surrender his fleet, he wondered if perhaps this had been their plan all along. Understanding the apex. 2 months into the diplomatic negotiations, senior researcher Zena found herself in what the humans called a university lecture hall, facing an audience of both human and council scientists. The findings she was about to present would change the galaxy's understanding of not just humanity, but the very nature of intelligence itself. "Our initial assessment of humanity was fundamentally flawed," Zena began, her translucent appendages shifting colors with emphasis. "We categorized them as pursuit predators who achieved intelligence, but this drastically undersells what they truly are." The holographic display behind her showed various human achievements throughout their history, from the first use of fire to their latest quantum computers. Humans didn't just evolve intelligence alongside their predatory nature. They turned the very concept of predation into something entirely new. She gestured to a series of images showing human scientific laboratories, art studios, and space exploration missions. Most predatory species hunt to survive. Humans, they hunt knowledge. They pursue understanding with the same relentless determination their ancestors used to chase prey across the savannah. The audience stirred as she brought up footage from the recent failed containment attempt. "When our fleet arrived, we thought we were displaying superiority. Instead, we gave them exactly what they craved most: a challenge. Every engagement wasn't just a battle, it was a learning opportunity." A human scientist in the audience raised her hand. "You're suggesting our predatory instincts evolved into scientific curiosity." "More than that," Zena replied, her colors shifting to excited patterns. "Your species took the neural pathways developed for tracking prey and applied them to tracking everything. Patterns in mathematics, principles of physics, social behaviors, artistic expression. You don't just adapt to your environment, you reshape it to adapt to you." The display shifted to show human medical facilities. "Take your approach to healing. Most species evolved either defensive regeneration or offensive healing factors. Humans, you studied your own biology, understood it, and then improved upon it. You turned medicine into another form of hunting, pursuing diseases and injuries as if they were prey." She brought up new data streams showing human problem-solving patterns. "Your brains still light up like those of pursuit predators, but instead of tracking animal spoor, you're tracking ideas. Instead of wearing down physical prey, you wear down intellectual problems. You don't just solve problems, you stalk them." The next series of images showed human space exploration efforts. When you encountered the vacuum of space, you didn't just adapt to it. You treated it as territory to be conquered, studied, and understood. Your species looks at the impossible the way ancient predators looked at their prey, as something to be overcome through persistence and ingenuity. A council scientist raised an appendage. "But surely this predatory approach makes them dangerous to galactic stability." Zena's colors shifted to what her species used to indicate amused irony. "That's what we thought. But we fail to understand something crucial about human predatory behavior. She displayed footage of human emergency responses to natural disasters, international aid efforts, and collaborative scientific projects. Humans are pack hunters who scaled up their cooperative instincts to a global level. Yes, they compete fiercely, but they also collaborate with an intensity that rivals their predatory drive. When faced with a sufficient challenge, humans don't just cooperate. They form what they call communities of purpose, bringing together diverse skills and perspectives to tackle problems that would be impossible to solve alone. The display showed the ongoing diplomatic efforts between humans and council species. This is why our containment effort was doomed from the start. We approached humanity as if they were simple predators to be caged. Instead, we found beings who had turned predation into an art form, applying it not just to survival, but to growth, learning, and evolution itself. She concluded with an image of Earth seen from space, its night side glittering with countless lights. We came expecting to find dangerous animals who had achieved intelligence. Instead, we found something far more remarkable, a species that had taken the fundamental drives of predation, pursuit, adaptation, and conquest, and elevated them into tools for universal understanding. The lecture hall fell silent as both human and alien scientists processed the implications. Humanity wasn't just another intelligent species. They were something entirely new in the galaxy's history. And as Xena looked at her audience, she saw the same hunger for understanding in both human and alien eyes, suggesting that perhaps humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wouldn't be their technology or their strength, but their infectious drive to turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Alliance of necessity. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been running for 3 standard cycles when the human delegation finally took the floor. The massive chamber, usually a model of decorum and procedure, had descended into barely controlled chaos as reports of the approaching threat continued to arrive. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 50 spacefaring civilizations, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays, showing the encroaching darkness at the galaxy's edge. The Void Swarm, as it had been dubbed, was consuming star systems at an accelerating rate. Distinguished representatives, Chen began, her voice cutting through the murmurs. You've all seen the data. The swarm adapts to every strategy we've deployed. Traditional military tactics have failed. Diplomatic overtures go unanswered. We're facing an enemy that operates with pure biological efficiency. The chamber's central display showed the latest footage. Entire solar systems being systematically dismantled by a vast cloud of semi-organic machines that learned from every encounter, growing stronger with each victory. The Council's containment fleets have been lost, Chen continued. The Ardillian defense networks, which stood for 10,000 years, fell in days. The swarm doesn't just defeat its opponents, it absorbs their strengths and eliminates their weaknesses. A Meridian representative, their crystalline form pulsing with distress patterns, spoke up. How can we fight an enemy that turns our own capabilities against us? A slight smile crossed Chen's face. By doing what humanity does best, turning the hunt itself into a weapon. The holographic display shifted to show a new tactical analysis. The swarm operates like a perfect predator, but it's a predator that has never faced competition. It's never needed to innovate, to truly adapt. It simply assimilates and optimizes. But humanity. She paused, looking around the chamber. We've spent our entire existence competing not just with our environment, but with ourselves. The display showed a new series of human ships, unlike anything the Council had seen before. We've developed what we call the Prometheus Initiative. Instead of trying to create the perfect weapon or defense, we've designed systems that evolve in real time, just like we do. Every encounter with the swarm becomes a lesson. Every defeat a stepping stone to victory. Senior Observer Xylith, now serving as the Council's chief xenobiologist, moved forward. The human approach mirrors their own evolution. They don't try to achieve perfection. They maintain constant adaptation. Their ships aren't just vessels. They're laboratories that learn and change during combat itself. Exactly, Chen nodded. But we need more than just technology. We need the combined knowledge and capabilities of every species in this chamber. The Meridian's crystalline computing, the Ardillian's energy manipulation, the Zent's biotechnology. All of it, working together, constantly evolving. She gestured to the assembled representatives. Humanity's greatest strength isn't that we're the ultimate predators. It's that we never stop learning, never stop adapting, and most importantly, never stop teaching others to do the same. The chamber erupted in discussion as Chen's words sank in. The various species had always viewed humanity's predatory nature with suspicion, but now they were beginning to understand it wasn't just about hunting or killing. It was about relentless improvement, adaptation, and growth. The swarm is coming, Chen continued once the chamber quieted. It thinks it's the perfect hunter, but it's never encountered a species that turned evolution itself into a conscious choice. We're not just asking for an alliance, we're offering to teach you how to hunt like we do. The council chamber, which had earlier been filled with fear, now hummed with a different energy. Species that had once feared humanity's predatory nature were beginning to see it as their greatest hope for survival. We've prepared training programs, technological exchanges, and joint military exercises, Chen explained. Every species here has something unique to contribute, but they need to learn how to adapt and evolve as rapidly as we do. The swarm thinks it's facing a galaxy of prey. We're going to show it what happens when prey learns to hunt back. As the council voted unanimously to accept Earth's proposal, Silith couldn't help but appreciate the irony. They had once feared humanity would be the death of galactic civilization. Instead, humanity's predatory nature, their drive to hunt, learn, and evolve, might be the only thing that could save it. The galaxy was about to learn how to hunt like humans, and the swarm, for the first time in its existence, was about to become prey. Evolution of partnership. 5 years after the formation of the Galactic Defense Initiative, the observation deck of Earth's new orbital academy offered a view that would have been impossible to imagine just a few years ago. Ships of every council species moved in formation, executing hunting patterns that had been perfected on Earth's savannas millennia ago. Director Marcus Wong stood beside Ambassador Xilith, watching as a Meridian crystalline vessel executed a perfect pursuit maneuver alongside a human destroyer. Your species has adapted to our training methods far more quickly than we anticipated, he noted. Xilith's scales rippled with what humans had learned to recognize as pride. We had good teachers. Though I must admit, when we first encountered humanity, I never imagined we'd be learning how to hunt from you. The holographic display showed the latest battle data from the front lines. The Void Swarm, which had once seemed unstoppable, was being systematically pushed back, not through overwhelming force, but through the application of something uniquely human, the ability to turn the hunt itself into an evolutionary advantage. The latest reports from the Arcturian sector are promising, Marcus said, pulling up the tactical analysis. The swarm's adaptation rate has dropped by 60%. It's starting to show signs of something we've seen in every apex predator that suddenly finds itself becoming prey. Confusion. The display showed footage of the most recent engagement. Swarm units, which had once moved with perfect efficiency, now displayed hesitation. Their responses, once instantaneous, showed delays as they encountered strategies that evolved faster than they could adapt. They're experiencing predator shock, Silith observed, like what happens to an apex species when it encounters a more effective hunter for the first time. Exactly, Marcus nodded. But the real victory isn't just in the battles we're winning. It's in how the galaxy itself is changing. The display shifted to show various scenes from across council space. Species that had once been rigid and specialized were now displaying unprecedented adaptability. The Meridians had combined their crystalline technology with human-inspired evolutionary algorithms. The Ardillians had transformed their defensive networks into learning systems that grew stronger with each engagement. We didn't just teach them to fight, Marcus continued. We taught them to evolve, to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth, to turn the fundamental nature of predation, the drive to pursue, to overcome, to adapt, into a force for advancement rather than just survival. A new alert drew their attention. The latest graduating class of the Orbital Academy was beginning their final exercise. The chamber filled with a breathtaking display as ships from 20 different species moved in perfect coordination, executing maneuvers that combined each species' unique strengths with humanity's relentless drive to improve. You know what the most remarkable thing is? Silith asked, her colors shifting to contemplative patterns. It's not just about military capability. Every species that's adopted human training methods has shown accelerated development in science, technology, even arts and culture. It's as if you've taught us how to hunt progress itself. Marcus smiled. That's because humanity's true nature isn't just about being predators. It's about being teachers, innovators, explorers. We hunt knowledge, chase understanding, pursue progress. And now we've shown the galaxy how to do the same. The display showed new data from the front lines. The Void Swarm wasn't just being defeated. It was being studied, understood, and in some cases, even redirected. Species that had once feared it were now treating it as a challenge to be overcome, a problem to be solved, an opportunity for growth. The Council was right about one thing, Silith mused. Humans are the ultimate predators. But not because we're the best at killing. It's because we're the best at turning the hunt for improvement into a force that benefits everyone. As they watched the graduation ceremony conclude, a new message flashed across the display. Another swarm tendril had been not just defeated, but converted, its constituent parts reprogrammed to serve as a defensive network. It was the latest in a string of victories that proved humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their strength or their technology, but their fundamental approach to existence. The drive to turn every challenge into an opportunity, every setback into a lesson, every hunt into a chance for evolution. We've come a long way from when you first discovered Earth, Marcus observed. Indeed. Silith agreed. We thought we were finding a dangerous predator species. Instead, we found teachers who showed us that the greatest hunt of all is the pursuit of progress itself. As they watched the ships disappear into the darkness of space, both human and alien knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had done more than save civilization from the Void Swarm. They had shown the galaxy a new way to evolve, to grow, to thrive. And in doing so, they had proven that being the ultimate predator wasn't about being the strongest or the most deadly. It was about being the most adaptable, the most innovative, and most importantly, the most willing to share those traits with others. The hunt would continue, but now it was a hunt for knowledge, for understanding, for progress. And in that hunt, every species could be both predator and teacher, learning and growing together in an endless pursuit of what could be.